Hello, Stuart. Glad you're online.
Hello there. Hey, Paul.
Hi, Saraswati.
How are you doing? Can you hear me?
I'm do I'm
I'll
doing well.
just
How are you?
camera a bit. I'm good. Thank you so much for joining. And just allow me a minute. Awesome. I guess we are recording. Perfect. Let's get started. So, hey everyone, welcome to this amazing webinar that we have scheduled for all of you. And the title for the webinar is a webinar on how to excel DevNet journey with Cisco's advocacy platform. So we have lined up pretty exciting conversation for all of you who have joined us. And we're going to talk about DevNet. We're going to talk about what Cisco's advocacy platform. We're going to talk about what's Insider platform. And to help us understand this very well, we have none other than Paul Zimmerman, who actually manages the developer advocacy platform. And I have wonderful memories with him whenever I meet him on Cisco Live sessions or somewhere else, and we discuss great stuff that's happening in the under the roof of DevNet. So I would give this platform to Paul to introduce about himself and the amazing thing that we're going to talk about. Paul, the floor is yours.
Thanks so much, Saraswati. Like you said, I'm Paul Zimmerman. I manage developer advocacy for at Cisco Systems as part of the DevNet team. I've been with Cisco for a little over 25 years, and with the DevNet team for around 10 now. So I've been a little bit of a veteran in the area for sure. Um, we definitely work a lot with the Cisco insiders, and talk with work with the champions there, and it's certainly having this customer interaction, and having the customers be part of the advocacy program is a great a way to connect with people
Indeed.
and move forward in that way. So I appreciate this opportunity to talk with you about what we do.
Awesome. Great. Thank you so much for the initial introduction. And just to introduce about myself again. So my name is Abhijit, and I'm the co-founder and CTO at PyNet Labs. And we do deliver amazing trainings and consultancies around specializing in DevNet. I myself have been delivering consultancies and training for more than about 12 to 13 years. And that's been my love of my life, I would say. But ever since DevNet came out, that has been my number one interest. And right now, I'm a DevNet expert, certified instructor. So that gives me even, I would say, great goals to achieve in the domain of delivering trainings and contributing to the learning community that we have around the world. So we have a lot of, I would say, interesting questions and curious information that our viewers would love to understand about how DevNet works, about how exactly the advocacy platform works, right? And I'm gonna ask Paul some of the information that he can share with us to make this understanding even better, and so that people can start using the resources available around DevNet, around the Cisco advocacy platform in a mannered way, and gain much more valuable information out of it. So the first thing that I'd like to ask to you, Paul, before jumping into advocacy platform, I would really appreciate if you can help our participant understand, because from technical point of view, we have did a couple of sessions earlier. I did one with Stuart Clark, the
Yeah.
other one with John Cook Bianco.
Oh,
So
nice.
we got a good feel of how technically things are working up. But then when we think about mission perspective, that how Cisco is taking DevNet forward and what kind of opportunities is it going to reveal or create for the aspirants who's kind of doing the hard work and learning DevNet and grasping that. Can you give us a brief about, brief overview of Cisco DevNet and its mission?
Sure, and I guess Abhijit, as you know, with DevNet, you're a DevNet expert. That is quite an accomplishment. That's an extremely difficult certification. um, so DevNet helps support people that are trying to are developers out in the world who are trying to use APIs and Cisco's platforms for programmability.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's you know provides free lots of tons of free resources, including uh, API documentation, SDKs. It has free learning labs, free sandboxes, so you can play around with your code and see how it works.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and sample code, so you can create more code with using that as a base. And so that's kind of the platform that we have out there. It's certainly very important for
Intriguing,
developers to
yeah,
be
I
able
would
to
say
use
that.
this stuff. And as a DevNet expert, you certainly know that firsthand.
Yeah, indeed, I do. In fact, I remember that when Cisco came out with the DevNet announcement back in 2019, the popular website or the famous website nowadays, which is developer.cisco.com, and slowly resources were getting pushed on that particular website, new learning labs or new sandboxes. The first time I saw sandbox, I was like, wow, I don't need to purchase any hardware now to be able to practice the lab. So that was a great news for me. And I guess that enablement provides the ability for a lot of learners to be able to practice what they're gonna be working with in real life, right? So that capability of allowing or hosting sandbox adds a lot more value towards the learning journey of an individual, starting from the scratch towards the advancements. So yeah, and having that particular platform available really helps. I mean, I still use it every day whenever I and then it has changed a lot since if I compare it to how it was back in 2019 or 2020, and now I see there are a hell lot of resources available which are quite useful. And people who have now becoming DevNet experts, they're also pushing their experiences on something we know as code exchange platform. So we also see amazing developments happening around the community and learn out of it, right? So, and I'd like to also ask you that how has DevNet evolved since its inception, and what are the current focus areas?
Oh yeah, great. So DevNet, Cisco's developer program has been around for a long time. Actually, we started Cisco's developer program. Gosh, it was well before I was involved with it. Back with the Cisco phones, because those were
Mhm.
customizable. And then as software defined networking started happening in the early 2000s, Cisco really started approaching programmability for all of its platforms. And then DevNet came around about 10 years ago. So we celebrated our 10th
Oh yeah,
anniversary just this last year. And obviously you
I
joined
was
us
part of that.
in Australia, and that was awesome. Um, so it's as Cisco's grown in programmability, DevNet has been able to address a lot of those issues. Again, we started with phones, but now we do programmability for data center, enterprise networking,
Mhm.
IoT, and of course, everyone's so interested in AI these days. That's certainly a growing area as well. So we try to cover many aspects of Cisco's technologies across the platform.
Of course, yeah. And could you also help us, I would say, through kind of give us a walkthrough of a typical journey for a developer. I mean, whenever someone new comes up in the journey and starts. So again, I discussed it in some of my previous webinars also. When Cisco thought of creating DevNet, something like DevNet, Cisco, I guess, attempted to do it for application developers. But in the industry, we see that a lot of network engineers, rather, I would say 90% of the network engineers are willing to take up these roles. And when we look at traditional network engineers, I would say well, most of them have not really been familiar to coding at all or programmability at all. So I also get asked quite a lot of time that do we really need to learn coding in order to do better? So how this industry is exactly being shaped, where Cisco is actually playing as a frontline soldier to bring in network automation perspectives and help organizations redesign their developments and deployment scenarios around network.
You're absolutely right in that application development has not been the biggest focus of Cisco DevNet. There are some areas, products like Finesse, which is in the contact center area, and other ones do use, and WebEx do use some of the application programmability. But the big focus for DevNet is on network automation. So that is a huge part of what DevNet's about. Of course, network engineers need to learn this stuff. It's amazing to me after 10 years of doing DevNet, at events like Cisco Live, there's network engineers come up to me and they're like, what's this programmability stuff? Trying to learn more about it. But network automation just makes such an important difference to companies in terms of being able to deploy on a large scale and being able to efficiently manage networks and use DevOps principles. So it's become a huge part of becoming a network engineer is to learn more about automation and programmability.
Do you have any success story about one of the customers or someone who have interacted with who have started implementing DevNet?
Oh, sure. One of the big ones that one of my developer advocates works with is Starbucks. We've worked with them on their Meraki rollout with automation. Certainly they need to connect all their stores and be able to work across geographies seamlessly. So that was a big one. We've certainly done a lot of work with the JP Morgan Chase in terms of getting their phones automated and customized. What other Visa is another big customer that's come along and tried to work on their programmability. And of course, when we get to financial institutions like that, it gets challenging. Security is super important, and of course, seamless and fast transactions are super important. So there's certainly lots of very important.
Even I've been interacting with people who have been handling the responsibility of doing this migration, where they're moving from standard way of managing their networks and then use a lot of solutions that comes under the SDN framework. And then be it SD-WAN, be it ACI, be it NSO, which is a very popular tool, right? So this has really helped them shape their network deployment scenarios in a lot professional and an automated way possible. We have a wonderful chat. Stuart Clark saying there was one guy with, I would add, amazing beard who started with DevNet and then joined the team. Happy to see you join the webinar, Stuart. Thank you. All right.
Yeah,
now, go ahead. Do you want to add something?
I was just going to say, yeah, Stuart's great. He was part of the DevNet team for a long time. Now he's over at AWS and is doing some great stuff over there. So yeah, it's a great community that we have around network automation for sure.
Yeah, of course, yes. Now, shifting the focus a bit from DevNet, and if I speak about the advocacy platform, so what are the primary responsibilities of a developer advocate, or rather, if you can just help us understand better that what is this advocacy platform, and how does one become a developer advocate, and then how does it help the community, and what are the roles and responsibility of a developer advocate?
Okay, yeah, developer advocates are folks on my team who they have two faces actually. One is outward facing, where you work to help other developers. They're developer zero for Cisco products. So they're understanding how programmability works and able to share this with the outside world. They create content, they give talks at conferences, they create sample code, lots of things to help the community. On the other side, also being developer zero, when they're using Cisco products, they can provide feedback both from the community and from their own experiences back to the product teams to let them know how the APIs are working, what can be improved, those kinds of things. What areas maybe the business unit isn't recognizing that the audience needs. So really trying to advocate both for the company out to the outside world and also for the outside world back to the company. So it's an important role
Mhm.
for sure.
And how does one become a developer advocate?
Generally, the developer advocates on my team have come from network engineering backgrounds where they've worked with products. They understand programmability tools like Python and REST
Mhm.
APIs and how to use version control systems like Git and
Mhm.
all that kind of thing. Of course, having some because they're outward facing, they have
Okay.
to have a little bit of personality and be able to do
Okay.
outreach and it's sometimes a programmers you see them alone in their room coding away and stuff like that. The developer advocates have to be a little bit more social
I must
and
say
show
they're
that.
handpicked then.
Yes.
Awesome. So I would say so someone who would be pursuing to become a developer advocate should not only be working on the technical stack of skills, but it should also be about how to appear in public in terms of providing information about how development exactly happens in the network automation space. Since the
Yeah.
role, as you mentioned, is outward facing. Awesome. That helps understand. And when we look at that, so I would say now, since the developer advocates would be gathering a lot of information about how the Cisco products are doing in the market, we have online communities where people share their feedbacks about and their experiences about working with Cisco's products, right? In terms of all the products that, whether be it SD-WAN or SD Access or NSO or even small tools like PyATS or something else. So when you look at that, how does Cisco gather feedbacks from the developer community, and how is this particular feedback utilized? Because I tell you about myself that whenever I try and perform any experiment on one of the lab environments, and if I face some difficulty, let's say I'm working with SD-WAN solution and I've been trying to onboard my Vantage for one of the virtual site that I've been creating in the lab scenario, and that particular thing is not really happening. So I look around the internet. That's gonna be my number one go-to place to look around at why am I not able to achieve something that I'm trying in my live environment? And most of the times we get these Cisco links where people have put up the same problems, and there are then threads going on. Um, so how exactly Cisco gathers information about its products and feedbacks and utilizes it?
That's a great question. So, there's many ways. As far as like you mentioned, the community is a great way to do it because my advocates watch the community stuff, and there's a lot of communication in there where people are sharing their issues or their questions. So that's a great way to get feedback, and also discussion with people at events and things like that is a good way to get feedback. But of course, that's fairly limited in terms of either someone's complaining on the community about an issue that they're having, or we're connecting with certain people at events but not everybody. So there are definitely other ways we need to get this information as well, and Cisco has this program called the Cisco Insider Program
Mm-hmm.
that customers and partners and everyone out there can participate in, and that's a
Mm-hmm.
great way to start connecting with Cisco and be able to provide feedback as well as getting more information that you might not get otherwise. So there's certainly some good, some opportunities there for people to share their information and get information.
Makes sense. And what strategies do your developer advocates use to connect with and grow the developer community? Because the ship have started sailing from the beginning, and there might have been few developer advocates, and then the information gets floated a lot, and then more people come in, and then we move towards its progress, right? So, what kind of strategies?
Yeah, there. I mean, there's a certainly we want to hear what people have to say, and so things like connecting with Cisco champions, which are part of the
Yeah,
Cisco Insider programming, Insider
happy to be
program.
one.
Yeah, that's great. It's great. It's this way people who are interested and want to share their information, it's a great way to connect with them. I know we have some private spaces where we can talk with these champions directly. There's
Mhm.
Cisco Insider communities where there's people can share their information with each other, and we can look at that and communicate with people there and get feedback. of course, we also talk with our customers directly. As we mentioned earlier, we talked about Starbucks and Visa and companies like that that provide information. But certainly the people who are our champions help us so much. So it's really helpful to have folks out in the world who want to share their views
Hmm.
with us.
I guess in terms of the technical capabilities of understanding how a solution works or giving feedbacks about working with that particular solution, champion community helps gather a lot of information about these solutions and then put up information out there so that anyone who tries to work with these solutions actually have someone already tried it and then have their feedback so that if they get stuck somewhere, then that should really help them get out of it and continue with their journey towards learning and working with that particular solution. So that also leads me to a curious question, I would say. So, like I said, developer.cisco.com is a huge have become a huge portal, I would say now, that has a ton of informations available inside of it, including the sandbox access, including the learning modules, including the code exchange platform. Can you help us understand whether anyone can put up information over there, or do we really need someone to have a pre-qualification to be able to put up content out there? And is it something that gets validated by Cisco as well before the content gets published? How does that particular process works?
Great question. So for our code samples, we have a area on the Cisco DevNet site called Code Exchange, and
Mm-hmm.
anyone can submit content there. It you submit it to a GitHub repo. Yes,
Uh-huh.
some of our developer advocates look at it and review it and make sure it works properly, that it's not going to cause any problems or there's any kind of pointing to any kind of malicious
Mm-hmm.
area sites or anything. So we definitely review everything before it gets posted there. Um, but yeah, anyone can post things there, and we love to get everyone's feedback because certainly we have some perspectives and things that we can do to share code, but the world out there is doing so many great things. It's awesome to get that feedback from people and to see what uh, other folks
Mm-hmm.
are doing out there in the world.
And does the content get validated by Cisco as well
Yes, yes. So
before the content
the
get
team
pushed
does
out?
review that stuff
Mhm.
before it gets pushed out.
Awesome, perfect. That's great. And apart from developer advocacy, there's also Cisco's Insider platform, right? Now, can
Right.
you help us understand what this platform is all about and how does people join into this particular platform or start consuming it, and what kind of help would one get when he knows how to access that particular platform?
Yeah, I can definitely share some stuff. All right, if I share a screen.
Oh yeah, that'll be great. People would get some demonstration out of it. Awesome.
All right. So we're gonna go with developer advocacy or the Cisco Insider program here.
Mhm.
There are really four areas for the Cisco Insider program. Oh,
Your screen haven't been up yet.
I'll give it a second here. Zoom's giving me a little bit of challenge.
Okay, that's fine.
uh,
I hope you have the privileges, right?
we doing? Nothing. Zoom's giving me trouble today.
Uh, is it something related to privileges? Oh,
I don't
we
know.
can see it.
Just
We
keep
can see
telling me
it
the
now.
Zoom.
We can see it
Oh, you
now.
can see it now. Okay.
Yeah. We can see the slides, but I can't see you now, Paul, if you're there. Am I audible, Paul? Let me check. Okay, I guess he's joining back. So while Paul is joining back, I would like to say that many of the people do use internet as their go-to resource whenever someone tries to learn something and then maybe faces problems. Let's say, like I mentioned earlier also, whenever someone tries to look around for things over the internet, there we have Paul back. So I was just giving them an experience of myself working with the Insider platform while you were joining back. And I was saying that learning how to use an insider platform and knowing where you need to find the information that you're seeking for adds a lot of manners and shortens the amount of time span you would spend researching on finding the exact information. If you know how to use an insider platform, you can actually find the information that you're seeking for pretty fast, and that'll be a spot on information. So again, back to you, Paul.
Yeah.
You
So
can
I
share
guess
that
Zoom is,
experience.
is being challenged by my sharing, but we can
Okay,
share. I can talk a little bit through this stuff at least.
sure.
Um, so the Cisco Insider Program is made up of four parts. There's the user groups, there's
Okay.
advocacy, there's
Uh-huh.
champions, and there's user research. So those are four areas. They used to be different programs, but they've all combined in the last couple of years into one big Cisco Insider uh, deal.
Okay.
um, so we talked a little bit about the champions. So that's a program that people can apply for. It's really great for getting technical influencers together and hearing what people have to say. There's also opportunities for champions to talk with each other, so
Hmm.
people can get a lot of feedback there from other people using Cisco gear.
Hmm.
Um, the Cisco Insider or the Cisco Insider User Group program is a cool thing that's on the Cisco communities. People
Hmm.
can join those. There's really four areas. I think it's enterprise networking, security, data center, and the last one I'm drawing a blank on.
That's a
But there's
collaboration, I guess.
okay. Um, but there's those are great because the user groups have communities where you can go to directly, and there's they have events that you can online events that you can attend that's just for the people that are part of the user groups. um
Hmm.
and again, there's another place where people can communicate with each other. You don't have to be a champion in order to use the user
Hmm.
groups. That's for anybody who's interested. So if you're just getting started or you're just
Hmm.
trying to check things out, it's a great place to go to learn more about how Cisco programmability
Hmm.
works, or not just programmability but everything, because it's not just developers, it's network engineers, it's SREs, it's anyone who uses Cisco gear.
Hmm. Awesome.
Um, yeah. Then we also there's the advocacy, which is another program where you can. There's challenges for that where people can do things to earn rewards, and
Hmm.
also it's another place where you can connect with other people and share information. And then user research is the last area, and that's something that you can apply for. Once you get in there, you can not only get information about how Cisco stuff is being used in the wild, but also you can provide your feedback back to Cisco on all that, on your
Makes
experiences
sense.
and your expertise there. So lots of different things that people can do as part of the Cisco Insider program.
You also mentioned something about rewards, so that might be
Oh yeah.
something which users would like to know about. That what kind of rewards people get by doing the amount of activities that are enabled on the platform itself, and what kind of and how they can actually gain rewards out of it. That's also something which can be a great thing to answer.
Right. So the Cisco Insider Advocacy, it's an area where there's challenges. So you go complete these challenges and you can get rewards. I believe you can get things like credits for the Cisco store
Oh,
and things like that. I know that part of the Cisco the champions program is that you get things like special special events at conferences like Cisco Live, where there's things that are just for the champions. Um, and so there's definitely
I
a lot
guess
of
on,
things.
on Cisco Live, I remember that if you're a champion and if you're attending Cisco Live, you would also get the behind the scene access
Oh
of
yeah.
how does the event exactly works. That's pretty interesting to me and someone I look forward to. So yeah, that's a great
Yeah,
reward, I would say. And we also have, I guess, continuing education points or rewards, which
absolutely.
help us gain more and more benefits out of our certification programs available over there. Yeah. So there's the
Right.
learning network space where someone would try to access this particular space, would get information about the courses that Cisco is trying to provide access of. And if you complete learning of certain courses, you will be awarded with C pointers. These C pointers can again be redeemed with fantastic benefits, right? So that's another
Absolutely.
report I would like to add up to the list, which people can really use. Now, when you think about this, then I would say, how does Cisco exactly view the importance of, I would say, developer ecosystem in the context of its overall business strategy? Would you like to comment anything on that?
It definitely remains a strong part of Cisco strategy. Ever since software-defined networking kind of kicked around in the mid 2000s, programmability has been a huge focus for Cisco. Cisco understands that people are trying to automate their gear, and it definitely saves companies money. One of the areas where uh, was a big concern back in the mid 2000s was that people were going using programmability and automating things, and the whole idea of being a network engineer in the old style
Mm-hmm.
was kind of a dated role. And companies definitely wanted to try to do this automation to save money, to make things more efficient. Um, and so it remains a huge strategy for Cisco to support programmability, to support people's efforts in trying to automate their systems. um,
Mm-hmm.
Certainly, there's a lot of non-developer ways to do that as well, through network management tools and things like that. But especially when you're starting to use different vendors and things like that, you have these big networks that need to be managed. Then programmability is a super important
And
technique
and
to
we've been
use.
listening about AI a lot nowadays. So
Yeah.
and the latest acquisition of Cisco, Splunk, has also been quite a blasting news out there in the world. So would you like to comment anything on what are the upcoming trends that Cisco is actually focusing on, and what is it that you can say DevNet is preparing, or how is DevNet preparing developers for these new changes
Oh yeah.
in the industry?
Oh, there's a lot going on these days for sure. As you mentioned, that with the Splunk acquisition,
Acquisition, yeah.
that's huge for security and observability. It's definitely changing the way that the Cisco's approaching some of those things.
Hmm.
We have certainly have lots of different observability tools as well, but Splunk is certainly something that's used by a bunch of people. And as we try to build out our our observability areas, Splunk is certainly a very important part of that, as well as security. So that's giant. And of course, everyone's concerned about security. That's
Hmm.
as more and more things become online, and more we get more and more connected, security plays such a big role for sure. uh
Awesome.
AI is giant. AI is growing. It seems like everything is AI these days. That's the conversations around everything. I know that from our group in DevNet, we're talking
Hmm.
about how people can use AI for network programmability, for troubleshooting, for things like that. Certainly, it's not going to replace the need for network engineers, but it can be such a great tool to make things more efficient and to
Of
really
course.
make
I
things
guess,
faster.
I mean, again, since a lot of people try to catch up with what's coming up latest, and the developer portal itself is the source of truth to stay updated on the latest information or latest labs or latest, you can say, developments that are being done by Cisco. I would also try sharing my screen and give an overview of how the developer.sandbox.cisco platform currently looks like.
Oh,
And
great.
give a walkthrough of how that works. So there you
Oh,
go.
yours is working. Yours is working just fine.
Hope my screen is visible.
Yeah, yeah, I can see it.
Awesome. So this is where we usually see a lot of resources being hosted by Cisco. I would say the developer.cisco.com platform gives you a menu item for the documentation, for the learn menu, then technologies menu, and community and events. So you get a lot of information about these particular menus. If you scroll down, you will have four more major sections where you have documentation, where you get access, API and SDK and data model documentation. and a lot more. Then we have learning lab section, an interesting one. This is where you will find great modules available to help you through your step-by-step learning process. For example, if you're someone who wants to get started with programmability, so Cisco have put together some learning models which are completely available for free, where you can just go ahead and get your hands dirty with the information that can be about what's programmability, how you can exactly learn about Python, what are the basic commands that you should be aware about Python since we are stepping into programmability. How is it really important from the network automation perspective, right? Then we have sample code over here. This is something that we're talking about where the community puts a lot of developments and the testing that they have been doing so far. And then you can get to know about a lot of developments and a lot of code practice. For example, let's say you are trying to implement one of the use case and trying to automate one of the feature in your organization for maybe taking backups of a lot of devices in one go, or maybe you want to try something and be able to communicate with your network devices programmatically. You don't want to access the device via CLI and via GUI, but you really want to go out there and build up a Python script which actually goes and communicates with the inventory of your network devices and then fetch out information, or you also can you can say dynamically push information in the form of configurations on the devices. So you would look around the internet that is there any Python script available to be able to do so? Well, that's your go-to platform where you can jump to sample code and then you can open that and look for the thing that you try to implement, and then you may find a solution right over there because someone in the world have been testing it and doing it and sharing it over this particular platform designed by Cisco. And then we have, of course, the pretty famous sandbox, which is you can say hosted labs by Cisco. So not everyone is able to purchase the hardware equipments, right? And with the drive where Cisco is making available all the virtual operating systems, where, for example, for ASA, we have ASAV. For iOS, we have iOSV. For NXOS, we have NXOSV. So all the platforms that Cisco has on its hardware equipments, all those, most of the, I would say, operating systems or platform have been virtually made available. And that's something which are hosted in the sandbox portal. So when you open the sandbox portal, you would be able to reserve a particular infrastructure lab and then be able to practice with it for the amount of time that you have. Interestingly, there are two types of labs available. One is the always on sandbox, and the other one is a reservable sandbox. The always on sandboxes can be used anytime, anywhere, on any platform. You be it on a mobile phone, you be it on a, you can say a computer, or you be it on a laptop or a tablet, you'll be able to use it from anywhere. You don't have to reserve anything beforehand. But the reservable sandboxes are where a lot of resources goes in. So it might be a big chunk of topology, which includes a lot of devices together. And then these devices can actually be reserved. And then by using a VPN, you will be able to communicate with these, with this lab and be able to practice on it. And then when you scroll down below, you have a lot of information about, I mean, that's categorized though. So you have some feature blogs, then you have community and events, right? Then you have artificial intelligence, what's exactly happening, what's the AI topic hub, introduction to open source learning modules, what's AI ops, right?
Yeah,
Explores generative
lots of good
AI
stuff there.
capability. That's something I've been researching on, right? So that's a great platform which is available over here. Would you like to add up something to this particular thing, Paul?
Sure, I'd like to mention a couple of things here. I guess going back to the sandboxes, you mentioned that yes, it's a virtual situation, but in some cases, those are actually hardware sandboxes that you can access. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not just virtual networks in some cases, depending on the tools. Um, I guess for people who want to get started, if they go up to the Learn tab up top there and they click on the Start Now, that is an area where people can see kind of getting an overview of everything that you need to know. There's some videos there on basically what it is about what programmability is for network engineers. Then we get into things like different data formats, different types of
Mm-hmm.
APIs, um, into REST, and then
REST
the tools
APIs,
there.
yeah.
So there's a bunch of great stuff here for people who are just trying to get started.
Mm-hmm.
And again, there's links there at the bottom to the different learning tracks and things like that. Um,
Yeah. I guess
so
this is
that's
also a great categorization which Cisco have created where you have learning tracks and then you have modules and then you have learning labs. So learning tracks are basically a bigger chunk of categorization where there are a lot of topics which are under that particular track. And I would say that learning tracks have multiple modules inside of it, and each module have different topics inside of it. So if you specifically want to explore modules, you can directly go over there and find out the module that you want to learn about, or you can directly jump into track and have access to multiple modules available over there. And
Yeah,
these particular modules or tracks can also be associated directly with their labs. So when you learn theoretically and conceptually about a particular module or a track, you can also perform a lab with respect to that particular topic or concept. Right, Paul?
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And this is a great resource for people who are getting started with programmability. But there's also lots of things on DevNet for people who are experienced and need to who have mastered the basics, who are trying to actually work through programmability issues in their enterprise or for their company. So that's why when you look at the list, we have the documentation first, because that's if someone's very experienced, then probably what they're going to do is go to documentation, because they're trying to understand specific commands or specific bits of code, or maybe they're they use that for learning, and for being able to program. But
Yeah. I still
so
remember
there's
that throughout my journey when I was preparing for associate and professional and expert level certification. When we look at the exam blueprint, we think that, okay, we need to learn the SD access or DNA API. Okay, I will
yeah,
learn that. Then there is a list that, okay, you also need to learn about the FMC API. Okay. You also need to learn about SD-WAN API. Okay. So
yeah,
when you see a
yeah,
huge list of APIs that you need to learn about, so people try to, figure out that I don't even know how, because most of the network engineers master themselves into a specific domain, right? So
right,
one
right,
who would be working with enterprise domain might be knowing about SD-WAN as a tool or as a product, but the same person might not be familiar about how does the FTD or FMCs work. And if he or she does not know about how FTD and FMC works, how are they really going to know about APIs for that particular platform? That's where the documentation comes to help. So every platform or every product that Cisco sells under the banner or under the umbrella of SDN, every tool will have its API documentation. So not necessarily every network engineer should master each API or each product API documentation, but you should definitely know about how to browse through these documentation and what kind of information would be helpful for you. For example, if I open the Meraki dashboard API, and that's kind of a documentation which you have over here. So you will have a detailed information about what you can do with this particular documentation. It's going to be a RESTful API to programmatically manage and monitor Meraki networks at scale. So it gives you information about how you can authenticate yourself with the Meraki platform. What are the API calls you would be using for that, right? You can see the request that you'll be sending in JSON and then curl and then Python, right? And then you will also get to know about the errors that are there, what are the popular error codes or response codes you will fetch when you execute your queries. How do you implement rate limiting over here? A great concept that network automation engineers should learn about. So you would get a lot of things. And the best part is this particular platform would also allow you to implement it and see an example of how does
oh,
it
yeah,
look like when you click on the button over there. So this is a great platform that has been developed by Cisco, right?
excellent. Yeah, and for those of for if you have a specific type of if you're focused on a specific technology, or you want to look at a particular technology, there's the on the under the
Over here is the
technologies
advocacy
tab
part,
at the
yeah.
top. You can see on the main page. Yeah, there you go. You can see all the different technologies that have
Mhm.
programmability and APIs. So the different lots of different areas there that people can
Yeah, you can even
learn how to
choose that
program.
if you want to learn about application hosting, or you want to look about the DNA, you want to look about the network devices services, you want to look about the service provider, that's where NSO and things like that comes up into the picture. You can choose your category over there, be specific to security or FSO or IoT or data center or
Right.
collaboration. The categorization helps you understand and meet the requirements specifically from the domain perspective. Awesome.
Absolutely. And I don't want to, leave here without talking about the community, because that is such a huge part of advocacy of just connecting with everyone out in the world. We have one of our main goals as developer advocates is to connect with the community and to talk with folks there. And the community, of course, is not just our forums, which are an important part of the community, but it's everyone. It's social media. It's everyone out there in the world is coming to events. Everyone out there who's doing anything with programmability is our community, and so it's such a huge part of advocacy and really of DevNet. Period. Very important to be able to reach out to people and connect.
Yeah, perfect. So that's what the developer.cisco.com portal really brings you with a lot of helpful information out there. One who is stepping up in the game of DevNet should definitely start using it, because, and this is for sure not a one-timer visit. This platform is something you should be consuming every day throughout your learning, and you can say take the best out of that particular thing.
Absolutely.
Awesome. With that, I think we cover most of the things that we had to talk about in this particular webinar. Any specific thing that you would like to add up, Paul, over here? And then we will head back to the Q&A round. If people who have joined up live would have any questions, we will be answering them before we conclude this particular webinar.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to say I appreciate everyone's attention here. I certainly, again, developer advocacy is about reaching out to the world, to the community out there. So this is a great way to make sure that people know about what we're doing. And if you're programming, we have some resources for you to use. Please come by and use it. It's all free stuff, so people can play around with it. And I definitely appreciate Abhijit, everything you guys have been doing at PyNet Labs to promote what we do for developers.
Appreciate it. All right. So does anyone have any questions? Please put them into chat or put them into Q&A tab. And if you're good, then we will be concluding it. We'll wait for a minute or see if we have any questions out there. All right, looks like it's been an easy to grasp information that we have shared through this particular webinar. Okay, and that's a nice question.
I guess Stuart's question about guitars there. So in my off time, not being in Cisco, I'm also a musician, and
wow.
I just bought. I have I guess like 6 guitars, but I just bought a new one, so I think Stuart might be get that one.
Awesome. I'm a guitarist as well, by the way.
Oh, excellent! We'll have to play sometime.
Oh yeah. Maybe one of the backstage areas we can hit in the Cisco live sessions. Perfect. Awesome. Thank you so much, Paul, again, for allowing your fetching out some time from your tight schedule and be able to join this particular webinar. I really appreciate it. We were able to, you can say, collaborate together and create some content which would help, I would say, network engineers as well as DevNet aspirants with information towards how these platforms can be used, and it can contribute towards their learning journey. So appreciate your time and efforts. Thank you so much. And we would love to have many more webinars with Cisco insiders, developer advocates, right? To put up more technical
Sure, I'd
content.
love to have my developer advocates join. Maybe we can do something on AI, since everyone's interested in that. We can. I have a couple of my people are working on some stuff there that they'd love to share with you, I'm sure.
Perfect. Yeah.
And Abhijit, I appreciate your time with me as well, and for PyNet Labs for hosting this. Thank you.
Likewise. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye, and see you soon. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you.